Right now, the climate is in a place we've never seen in modern times. Last month marked the hottest March on record for the planet Earth. In fact, the globe has broken heat records for 10 straight months now. Ocean temperatures have also been off the charts over the past year. Climate scientists say that it is partly because of a strong El Nino. That's a climate condition that warms the central Pacific Ocean and changes global weather patterns. But experts also say that human-caused climate change is mostly to blame, primarily the burning of fuels that have caused greenhouse gases to swiftly rise in the atmosphere, trapping heat and warming our planet. And a warmer planet affects the water cycle. It shifts weather patterns and it melts land ice, and all of that leads to more frequent and intense extreme weather, like severe flooding, wildfires, droughts, and heat waves. One of this year's many catastrophic weather events includes the back-to-back storms that hammered the Northeast in January, including the state of Maine. Residents there saw dramatic flooding that caused extensive damage to their homes as well as the state's coastline. Spectrum News political reporter Reuben Jones has more on the aftermath in this report.
The frigid winter temps of Maine may not draw many people, but the views couldn't be better. It's what kept Joanna Lukianoff in Bristol year-round.
I love the ocean. It is just so gorgeous, and it's never the same 2 days in a row. But when it gets angry, it's wonderful to watch it. It's scary, though, when it gets too close.
A powerful storm in the middle of the night this past January gave Lukianoff a whole new perspective on the picturesque views outside her son's home.
The wind was so strong, the rain was so strong. The waves were spilling over the road right up to the grass.
So they were right up to the tip of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Seawater buckled the road out front and down the street. A house was literally picked up from its foundation. A few miles from Lukianoff's home at the historic Pemaquid Point Lighthouse and Bell House, the century-plus-old bell that once guided boats through fog off the coast of Maine is now left bare.
A rogue wave came up and just went over top of me, landed like 20 feet behind me, and like, okay, well, now we see how the building got taken out.
Storm surges flooded roads in Maine, destroyed homes, and shredded once pristine beaches. What used to be a once-in-a-lifetime weather event is now becoming more frequent.
Is this a wake-up call for what could happen again in the future?
It is.
When you talk to people here in Maine, they'll tell you the flooding that they recently saw is nothing compared to what they've seen in the past. And from flooding to fires around the country, severe weather, well, it's becoming unprecedented.
Despite whatever Mother Nature brings, this grandmother has no plans to leave.
When you look at the water now, what do you think?
So calm, and you would never think you could get itself all boiled up with the spray going every which way come Sunday.
On the coast of Maine, Reuben Jones, Spectrum News.
Joining me now to talk more about extreme weather is Maureen McCann, a meteorologist for Spectrum News 13 in Orlando, Florida. And Maureen, the Paris Climate Agreements of 2015 set a goal of keeping future warming at 1.5 degrees centigrade, that's 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, or less. The idea is to keep it close to where we were in pre-industrial times. That's the number that experts said that would be critical for the planet because we'd face extreme weather if we exceeded it. But now we've been above those levels for the last year. Is it too late to avoid some of the expected effects that were predicted?
It's not too late because it comes back to greenhouse gas emissions and reducing them and relying more on clean energy. And we have a lot of potential to do that here in the United States. States like Florida and California have great potential for solar energy, and Texas has great potential for wind power. Those are just a few examples. So investing in more clean energy that can help reduce our emissions and the presence of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere to try to curtail the trends like we've been seeing, that global temperature chart. And this is something that has been seen in other displays too, basically that rise since the Industrial Revolution, and more notably when we started having more cars driving and more of those emissions from fossil fuels.
Well, I mean, I saw that the El Nino weather event appears to be fading. Is there a chance that we can kind of make that chart bend in the other direction and see global temperatures drop?
In the short term, we are looking at more months ahead of above average temperatures based on seeing so many consistent months lately and years of these increasing temperatures. That plays into the overall global cycles with El Nino, and we are going to be transitioning out of El Nino. You know, El Nino is actually something that can prevent substantial tropical development because of stronger winds aloft. It has to do with the placement of the jet stream, and if you have that over areas where tropical systems want to develop, then that prevents them from forming as much. It just creates a more hostile environment. As we transition away from El Nino, and there is a good likelihood that we're going to be seeing that in the next few months, that does create a more favored environment for tropical development when you consider also not only just the air temperatures, but how warm those ocean temperatures have been that scientists have been observing lately.
Okay, well now we are just a few weeks away from hurricane season. This year begins in June. What's the outlook for climate change, and what can we expect this season?
So we can't tie climate change to one specific event, and climate change, the science, doesn't exactly point towards the frequency of events, but the trends do suggest, based on the warm temperatures in the atmosphere and the very warm ocean temperatures, that this will be an above average season. So the numbers are out from Colorado State. They issue an outlook every April, and these are the highest numbers, I believe, that they have used in their outlooks. Now, keep in mind, a seasonal forecast like that is for the entire Atlantic basin. So it doesn't mean you're going to get that many storms coming to your coastline, to your state. It just means the overall Atlantic basin. You need to treat every season the same. It's cliche, we say it all the time, but it only takes one to make it a big year for you. Think of storms like Andrew or Sandy. The seasonal outlook is something that we want to consider every year, but you want to prepare the same way every year because it only takes one.
And if people are unlucky, or what kind of precautions should they take if they are going to be affected by some of this?
Yeah, you want to prepare every season the same way, not waiting to the last minute to prepare a disaster preparedness kit or to stock water at your house. Make a plan with your family. Know where you would go if you evacuate, because we are going to be getting into hurricane season very soon. And of course, we're getting into the summer months when some of the greatest effects of climate change can be felt. Since Earth Day in 1970, all 50 states have observed warming, and that is something that scientists are going to continue to further investigate.
All right, thanks so much. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.